The Green Party dirty tricks in politics. Welcome to Mark and Pete. Well, they secured a win, except, and this is where it gets awkward, this win may have involved a little creative interpretation of the rules. Yes, this is Mark and Pete, two blokes with half an opinion. And here's our first thought.
Folk who are completely green think that the world is too unclean until dirty politics came on the scene, and now they are an insurgent machine.
Yes.
Well, yes, what has happened to the Green Party? Well, interestingly, the Green Party has won the Gorton and Denton by-election. Hannah Spencer took the seat from Labour in the Greens' first ever Westminster by-election victory. Now, Labour, which took Greater Manchester's seat with more than 50% of the vote in 2024, was pushed into third place behind, yes, Reform UK as well. And as a result, this will put even more pressure on Sir Keir Starmer. But there's something more important, and that is about the election itself. Because many people have observed that many groups of voters actually went into the booths as family voting in the by-election. Now, of course, this is an illegal practice, especially when there are two voters within one polling booth. Now, the Reform leader, Nigel Farage, says this raised questions about the integrity of the democratic process in predominantly Muslim areas. Now, well, this is very controversial. But Mr. Pete, I ask you, what do you think about this? Is Nigel Farage really right to raise these concerns? Would it have even actually changed the outcome? I ask you. Are the Greens going in the right direction? And what do you think about the Manchester result?
Well, yes, Mr. Mark, there have been reports of bad behaviour in the election booths. When you go into an election booth, when you go there, a voting booth, to go and vote in a British election, only you're allowed to go in. You can't have someone else go in with you into the actual voting booth. The only other people allowed in there are, under certain circumstances, police, or there are a designated group of volunteers which had been around just for the past few years, have been allowed in officially. And what these volunteers do is they try and ensure election integrity. And they have reported that there were people doing this issue of family voting. So you have someone going in with you to tell you how to vote. That's not allowed. Of course, there being postal votes as well. It can be done without anyone going in there with you. You can simply have the vote done for you. You can imagine the situation if you're in the country, you don't really care who wins, or maybe you don't even speak the language, and someone says, yeah, I'll just do it for you. Oh, okay, fine. Then that's that being done on a reasonably large scale. We're only talking about needing a few thousand votes, which is big for
Yes.
the area, but not a huge number, just generally speaking. Then it's going to swing the election. And I think that is, to a certain extent, what happened. The Labour Party vote halved from last time, with their voters going, some of them to Reform and some of them, a lot of them, to the Green Party. However, having said all that, reports I'm hearing are that there were quite a few voters for the Green Party who'd never voted before. Looking at
Yes.
exit polls, where people are
Quite.
asked about whether they voted before. So I don't think it tells the whole story, and it may not have swung the election, but that's not the point. The fact that it occurred means that whoever won could have had, and could in this case have, their win challenged in court.
Well, it is a point, and whether it did actually skew the election results or not. But either way, I think you've already hit on it, which is this is a lot of tactical voting
Yeah.
for what has been basically a Labour Party constituency for quite some time, over 100 years, I believe.
Yeah.
For them to be relegated to third place, really essentially minus 25% of the vote since it was a change in 2024. That's quite a dramatic impact. And I think that we're seeing this political wave of change. There is another underlying current here behind this, because, of course, many people were, certainly if you were a Labour Party voter are really sort of making a protest against Sir Keir Starmer. Now,
Yeah.
Andy Burnham, who is the Manchester mayor, of course, was blocked from even standing in this particular by-election. So it may be that had a factor, which is to say, Sir Keir
Yeah.
Starmer, we don't like you. So,
Yes. Well, I
so
mean,
there is an element
this
there, isn't
was
there?
a massive political misjudgment by Keir Starmer in stopping
Yes,
Andy Burnham from standing for the seat. It makes it his fault. Keir Starmer's fault, doubly his fault,
yes,
when that happens. And so we're seeing a lot of dishonesty. Um, we're seeing reports of dishonesty by the Green Party in the election, in the voting methods used, and we're seeing the selection of candidate dishonesty really by Keir Starmer, because the reason he wasn't able to stand really was because he thought he was going to challenge him for leadership. Proverbs 11 verse 1 says, "The Lord detests dishonest scales, but accurate weights find favor with him." And if you've done this level of dishonesty, you've already lost, really. When it comes to the general election, people aren't going to trust you, either the Green Party or the Labour Party. I think that this is a misstep. However, for the Green Party, I guess it's a breakthrough. So now they've got an MP. So maybe it was worth it politically. But another
yes,
interesting point, I want to just make one other point about what happened here. By courting the Muslim vote, they were taking a leaf out of Labour's book, for one, and doing it more effectively.
yes.
You can summarize, basically, they were saying, we're going to take money from rich people and give it to you, rich white people and give it to you. That's a winner, of course. Who doesn't like a bit of free money? But, you know, that, I'm summarizing, of course. That wasn't quite how they put it on their election material. But the point I would make here is that it's sort of done on the voting seems to have broken down then more along sectarian lines than we used to,
Mm.
more according to ethnicity than we used to. And I think if that's the way it's going to go, we could see parties like Reform and maybe Restore, if that does rise to, gets it keeps increasing members as it has done, the new Restore Britain party. Because if you're voting along sectarian lines, you're going to want to vote for people who are in favour of the white population, or the current English, Scottish, and Welsh populations, the native people there, and there are more of them than others. So, how that will affect the election result? Well, it's difficult to say, because there's new parties. I mentioned Restore, but there's also Advance rising up at the moment. So by the time we get to 2029, which is the next general election as it's planned at the moment, uh, there could be some very different results, even in terms of the parties taking part.
Well, what's interesting about this is congratulations to Hannah Spencer. Great job, won the election. And as you quite rightly say, there is a runway to the general election. Well, we talked about Greens, we talked about Reform, and even Labour. Quite remarkably, nobody is talking about the Conservatives.